Shalom, family. Shalom. Happy first day of the week. Yes, it's in the evening, but here we are. First day of the week. Hope you had a great time. If you had to work, we understand it's the first day of the week. This week, it's the Book of Ruth, chapter 3, and it's going to be today. The Book of Ruth, chapter 3, 1 through 18, and the Book of Bel and the Dragon, the whole chapter. So let's get started. Ruth, chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor, but make not thyself known unto the man, until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be, when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie. And thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, All that thou sayest unto me I will do. And she went down unto the floor, and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, and she came softly, and uncovered his feet, and laid her down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid, and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaiden. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaiden, for thou art a near kinsman. And he said, Blessed be thou of the Yahweh, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning. Inasmuch as thou followest not young men, whether poor or rich, now, my daughter, fear not, I will do to thee all that thou requirest. For all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit, there is a kinsman nearer than I. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning, that if he will perform unto thee the part of the kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of the kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Yahweh liveth. Lie down until the morning. And she lay at his feet until the morning. And she arose before one could. She arose before one could. And she lay at his feet until morning. And she rose up before one could know another. And he said, Let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. Also he said, Bring the veil, and thou hast put upon thee, and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it on her, and she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, Who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, These 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, Go not empty unto thy mother-in-law. Then she said, "Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the thing this day." So that is what's going on with Ruth, as we can see. We read from 1 through chapter 3, 1 through 18, and we're going to head to Bel and the dragon. The history of the destruction of Bel and the dragon. The king Artaxerxes was gathered to his father, and Cyrus of Persia received his kingdom. And Daniel conversed with the king and was honored above all his friends. Now the Babylons had an idol called Bel, and there were spent upon him every day 12 great measures of fine flour, and 40 sheep, and 6 vessels of wine. And the king worshipped it, and went daily to adore it. But Daniel worshipped his own Elohim. And the king said unto him, "Why dost thou not worship Bel?" Who answered and said, "Because I may not worship idols made with hands, but the Yahweh El Kai, who hath created the heaven and the earth, and hath sovereignty over all flesh." Then said the king unto him, "Thinkest thou not that Bel is a living Elohim? Seest thou not how much he eateth and drinketh every day?" Then Daniel smiled and said, "O king, be not deceived, for this is but clay within, and brass without, and did never eat or drink anything." So the king was wroth, and called for his priests, and said unto them, "If ye tell me not who this is that devoureth these expenses, ye shall die. But if ye can certify me that Bel devoureth them, then Daniel shall die. For he hath spoken blasphemy against Bel." And Daniel said unto the king, "Let it be according to thy word." Now the priests of Bel were 70, besides their wives and children. And the king went with Daniel into the temple of Bel. So Bel's priests said, "Lo, we go out, but thou, O king, set on the meat, and make ready the wine, and shut the door fast, and seal it with thine own signet. And tomorrow, when thou comest in, if thou findest not Bel hath eaten up all, we will suffer death. Or else Daniel that speaketh falsely against us." Then they little regard it, for under the table they had made a privy entrance, whereby they entered in continually and consumed those things. So when they were gone forth, the king set meats before Bel. So when they went forth, the king set meats before Bel. Now Daniel had commanded his servants to bring ashes, and those they strewn throughout all the temple of the presence of the king alone. Then went out and shut the door, and sealed it with the king's signet, and so departed. Now in the night came the priests with their wives and children, as they were wont to do, and did eat and drink up all. In the morning, betime, the king arose, and Daniel with him. And the king said, "Daniel, are the seals whole?" And he said, "Yea, O king, they be whole." And as soon as he had opened the door, the king looked upon the table and cried with a loud voice, "Great art thou, O Bel, and with thee is no deceit at all." Then laughed Daniel, and held the king that he should not go in, and said, Behold, now the pavement and the mark, well, whose footsteps are these? And the king said, I see footsteps of men, women, and children. And then the king was angry. And he took the priests with their wives and children and showed him the privy doors where they came in, and consumed such things as were upon the table. Therefore the king slew them, and delivered Bel into Daniel's power, who destroyed him and his temple. And in that same place there was a great dragon, which they of Babylon worshipped. And the king said unto Daniel, Wilt thou also say that this is of brass? Lo, he liveth, he eateth and drinketh. Thou canst not say that he is no living Elohim. Therefore worship him. Then said Daniel unto the king, I will worship the Yahweh my Elohim, for he is the Yahweh El-Kai. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I give thee leave. And Daniel took pitch and fat and hair, and did seethe them together, and made lumps thereof. This he put in the dragon's mouth, and so the dragon burst in sunder. And Daniel said, Lo, these are the Elohims ye worship. When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king, saying, The king is become a Yahudah, and he hath destroyed Baal. He hath slain the dragon, and put the priest to death. So they came to the king, and said, Deliver us to Daniel, or else we will destroy thee and thine house. Now when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained, he delivered Daniel unto them, who cast him into the lion's den, where he was 6 days. And in the den there were 7 lions, and they had given them every day 2 carcasses and 2 sheep, which then were not given to them, to the intent that they might devour Daniel. Now there were in Yehud a prophet called Habakkuk, who had made pottage, and had broken bread in a bowl, and was going into the field for to bring it to the reapers. But the angel of the Yahweh said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den. And Habakkuk said, Yahweh, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is. And then the angel of the Yahweh took him by the crown, and bare him by the hair of his head, and through the firmament of his spirit set him before Babylon over the den. And Habakkuk cried, saying, O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which Elohim hath sent thee. And Daniel said, Thou hast remembered me, O Elohim, neither hast thou forsaken them that seek thee and love thee. So Daniel arose and did eat. And the angel of the Yahweh set Habakkuk in his own place again immediately. Upon the 7th day, the king went to bewail Daniel. And when he came to the den, he looked in, and behold, Daniel was sitting. Then cried the king with a loud voice, saying, Great art Yahweh Elohim of Daniel, and there is none other beside thee. And he drew out and cast those that were the cause of his destruction into the den. and they were devoured in a moment before his face. And so that is Bel and the dragon, the whole chapter from 1 to 42. So I hope this day has been a blessed day for you as well it is for me. Shalom, peace, and blessings.